Ray, are you ready?
I am ready.
Action.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are. We hope it is good. Welcome to another edition of Geeks Who Like Sports. As always, I am Ray Carsillo in beautiful Los Angeles, California. Doing my best for the entire world over in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. Lee Elias. Lee, how are you doing on this Super Bowl post Monday?
Ray, the Super Bowl ending means one thing.
We have our Sundays back for 7 months.
It's hockey season, buddy. We made it. We finally made it. For those of you who don't know, hockey is a sport that's played on the ice, and it's going to be out there for the rest of the winter and into the spring, into the postseason. And Ray, this is the day where a lot of hockey fans are born from the end of the NFL season. Ray, before we get into the Super Bowl, I like to start every day with a cup of coffee. All right, because I have two kids. And it just gets me going. I'm drinking coffee out of my Geeks Who Like Sports mug right now. If you want one of those, DM us. So that brings us to today's non-sponsor of the episode, Ray. So little quick story here, Ray. You're gonna love this, okay? I use K cups, right? I have a K cup machine. I like to brew it that way. It's easy. It's fun. I don't mind brewing coffee too, but K cups are how I use it. And I just could not figure out how to get my coffee the way that the diners in New Jersey have their coffee, Ray. And years went by, and it spawned in my mind, why don't you just search what coffee is used in diners in New Jersey? I'm thinking a lot of them are going to come up. Ray, there was one company that came up. It was prominent. It's everywhere. Actually, I see them everywhere now that I know that they are the coffee, not just in New Jersey, but around a lot of the areas, a lot of the diners. Ray, that coffee is LVIII Coffee Company. They make K-Cups. It's right here. I'm a non-sponsor of the week. They sent me this box, and as you'll see, I'm wearing a LVIII hoodie. They sent this to me because I paid for the items, and that's what you do. But LVIII Coffee, I'm a huge, huge fan of this company. As our producer Caitlin knows, as my family knows. And what's funny is now, if you're watching it, you'll see this logo. Ray, you'll see it too. I promise you now, when you go to a diner, look at the coffee pot. There's a very good chance it's this company. Now, do they need to sponsor this show? Hell no. But are they large enough to sponsor the show? I don't know. That's up to the marketing people. LVIII Coffee, I'm a huge fan. I am a huge fan of this. They come in K-Cups. We buy it for the office. We buy it for the house. And every morning, my day starts, Lee with LVIII. And today on Geeks, it's the same thing.
There you go. There you go. Well, unfortunately, there's not really a lot of diners out here in LA, but next time I'm back to the East Coast, I will look for LVIII.
You don't have to look. You can come to my house, and I can get you some of this coffee out of this box that I have right here. No, joking, like I'm being serious and joking at the same time. I really wanted to get that diner coffee experience because I really enjoy it. And look, there's lots of different types of coffee, and people like the coffee in a lot of different ways.
Yes.
But this hit for me. So LVIII Coffee, check them out. You can buy K-Cups, you can buy grind, you can buy apparel, and they have other things there too. But the non-sponsor of the week sent me all this stuff because I paid for it. Unbelievable service. LVIII Coffee, thank you.
Do they have other things besides hoodies? Do they have T-shirts and things of that nature?
They have. You know what? Yes, they have official Jersey Diner mugs that I bought one of those too, and it has like that little curvature to it.
Yes.
And they're mugs you could put through the dishwasher 400,637 times.
Yeah.
They're still gonna work fine.
Yes.
You know what I mean? So I bought one of those too, and my brother even bought one of those because if you're gonna have diner coffee, you should have it in a diner mug. Unless you have a podcast, then what you have your own mug, then you should be doing it in one of them.
Yes, right? And reach out to us again, like Lee said. We have Geeks Who Like Sports merch, which is available for purchase. Just reach out. And also that too, if you're a fan of the show, don't forget, follow us on YouTube, follow us on Facebook, follow us on all the socials, on Instagram, we're GWLS Podcast, on Twitter and all the other places. Follow us too. If you listen to the show, if you enjoy the show, because I'll say this, if you listen to us on Spotify, great. If you listen to us on Apple, great. But they're not the best platforms necessarily to let us know that, yes, we leave a 5-star review there, of course. You really want to get our attention? YouTube, Facebook, Twitter,
comment,
Instagram. Let us know.
I also should say now at the top of the show, if you love the show, this weekend, Ray and I will be appearing at Virtual TrekCon again, our second time at a Star Trek convention that we love, Virtual TrekCon, going over which baseball team we were going to create a baseball team made of only Star Trek characters. So Virtual TrekCon's coming this Sunday, but you'll be able to see that recording anywhere once it's out. We'll share that with y'all.
Absolutely, yeah. So definitely something to look forward to there. We got a big show though for you folks. Of course, the Super Bowl we mentioned some marketing. We're gonna get into all kinds of marketing stuff. We got some baseball, we got some hockey, wrestling, video games, movies,
Great
TV.
show.
It's a big show for you today, folks. But we are gonna kick it off. Lee, you and I finished the season with an 8-5 playoff record. A winning record, another winning record for us, a very solid record. We got there different ways, but again,
We did.
we finished tied at 8-5, and we both picked the Chiefs. Picked the Chiefs to actually win in a blowout, but it was a much closer game than that. But the Chiefs did indeed win in only the second ever overtime Super Bowl. Lee, what were your thoughts on the big game and how it turned out and whatnot? And in the 25-22 Chiefs win, it is now officially a dynasty. They've gotten 3 wins in 5 years.
Yeah, my thought, the first half, if you're a fan of really solid defensive football, precision football, you got your wish, but it was boring for everyone else, right?
Yes.
The first half was not great.
I would say the first 3 quarters were kind of that nature, really.
Yeah, this game picked up as it went along. But, I got the impression very early on, and this kind of actually reminded me of like 90s hockey when like a team would get a goal and then there'd be defense the rest of the game. Yeah. But you got the feeling, actually not early on, but you got the feeling for most of the game of, okay, one of these teams is going to make a fatal error that is going to come bite them in the butt. And that's exactly what happened, that to beat a team like Kansas City, and we did say this in our preview, you're going to have to play a near perfect game. In fact, I remember while watching the game, right, thinking about the Chiefs, thinking, man, this is a lot like the Pats at their prime. Like, you have got to be perfect. When the Eagles beat them, they were perfect. When the Giants beat them, they had that magic. They had those guts to figure it out. But when they missed that PAT, I as soon as they missed it, I said, that is enough. That is enough for Kansas City to come back and get you. Now, everybody's going to tell me, well, it went to overtime and they did it. At the end of the game, listen, the Niners would have had the win if they made that PAT, most likely.
To be fair, because I would argue that actually it wasn't the PAT was not as big as people think.
One of 2
It was one of it was one.
Yeah.
But the reason why is because I feel that if Kansas City was down by 4 going on to the drive that ended up that they tied the game to force overtime,
right?
I think that Kansas City would have made the play. They would have got a last-second touchdown instead of
it would have
settling
been
for
different
that
play
field goal.
calling, 100%.
100%. And I think the Chiefs, because the last thing you want is Patrick Mahomes to have the ball last, even though Kyle Shanahan clearly doesn't know that and decided to get the ball first in overtime. You don't want Mahomes to know what he has to do to win because he will figure out what he has to do to win. I think if it was 17-13 instead of 16-13, I think the final score would have been Chiefs 20 and 49ers 17.
Ray, I could make the opposite argument. The defensive play calling also would have been different because from the Niners standpoint, a field goal keeps them alive in that situation. They know they have to stop the touchdown. So I think that gives them a different coverage in terms of what they're trying to do at that point, because they know Kansas City is the same, like you just said, like they're playing mildly conservative at that moment.
Sure.
They did have their shot at the end zone. All right. And they missed it. But I think that, and this is not a shot at the Niners, that I think the Niners played a near perfect game, but there was 1 or 2 plays. You never lose on these plays, but there's 1 or 2 plays where they just didn't get a break. And I think that really affected the outcome of the game. And once you got to overtime, once they didn't kick that or didn't get the touchdown right in the first drive,
you knew Mahomes was going to win that.
This is dangerous.
Yeah, the coin toss wasn't as big as some are making out to be, but I definitely think that once you settle for the field goal there in overtime, then it's Mahomes all the way. And I think as you have that scenario again, I think a bigger play was the muffed punt. That's the the play is that the Niners, where it hits off the gunner, it kicks around, the Chiefs recover it. Each team had 2 turnovers. The only team to score off those turnovers was the Chiefs, who got a touchdown.
That's true.
After that turnover. That, to me, was when the momentum entirely shifted back to Kansas City. They took their first lead of the game, 13-10 at that point. Right. And again, you got 7 points off a turnover. To me, that's the game more than anything, because I think at that point, it felt a little bit of a shootout at that point, because then they started trading the field goals and all that other stuff. And a shootout favors the Chiefs. It just does. Because up to that point, even with all the ridiculousness, which, by the way, the Niners, talk about being snake bit. They had a guy going down every play, like Drake. And then Drake Greenlaw just jumping up and down, pops his Achilles in the second quarter, the heart of that linebacking core. It just, the Niners kind of seemed a little bit doomed from the start, even with the refs helping them out as much as they could. But like it just felt like, especially as the game went along, that this was going to be the Chiefs. It was just the Chiefs were almost the team of destiny to build this dynasty.
Yeah, well, I'll say this too, and what's pretty cool about the Chiefs, because look, I do want to compliment the Niners on a great season,
Mm-hmm.
pretty good Super Bowl. It was a good ending to the game. The ending was
Sure.
fun to watch.
Yes.
But when you look at a dynasty like Kansas City, and you know, our prediction score was not that far off from what it actually ended up
No.
as. We were just a score away from, I believe, what we wanted.
We said 31-17 and ended up being 25-22. If you're looking at the point total, we were very close.
Right. Yeah, it wasn't a blowout, though. I will agree with that.
Yeah.
But, you know, what's cool about dynasties, and I was listening to Patrick Mahomes after the game talk about kind of where they're at and where they're going. And, you know, right away, he said, this is the start of a dynasty, but we're not done. And it shows you that this team has a supreme vision for themselves beyond just winning a Super Bowl. And as a coach, I really love that, because I talk all the time about the infinite game, Ray, and what the infinite game is going for the impossible. Right.
Yeah.
Like, I wouldn't be surprised if it's we want to break the Super Bowl record. Right. We want to have a perfect season, or we want to have more Super Bowls than Tom Brady.
Well, and at the very least, they've kind of already said they want to be the first. They were the first team to three-peat. No team in NFL history has ever three-peated for the championship. A lot of back-to-back champions, but no team has ever won back-to-back-to-back.
Right. And the beauty of a goal like that is that when you strive for something that's nearly impossible, you're going to end up so much further ahead than a team that just wants a Super Bowl. Right now, and I'm going to say this too. There's nothing wrong with just winning a Super Bowl. It's a very good goal. But the Chiefs, the Pats, during their dynasty years, you know, they have this ability to look so far ahead and say, we want to achieve this. And here's the thing. Tom Brady's goal every year was to win the Super Bowl. They didn't do it, right? Yeah. They didn't do it, but he won like half the time, right? So it just shows you the power of that kind of thinking. I think this team has that. You never know what's going to happen. There's no guarantees. People get injured, people get traded, things fall apart. Andy Reid could disappear. There's a lot of different things that could keep this from happening. But I love that they kind of have that purpose. And the other thing too is that you see them turn more inward. You know, when a team wins a Super Bowl for the first time, there's a lot of different storylines exterior about we've got to do it to prove this and to prove that and to prove this. Chiefs don't have to prove anything to anybody. Now it's like, no, we want to do this for ourselves. Yeah. I'm telling you, as a coach, that is an insanely dangerous thing for other teams to play against. It is a higher purpose than just wanting to win. So for those of you listening out there, if you're into sports, or even if you have your own personal goals, right? Play that infinite game. You'll go, if you just want to win, that's as far as you'll go. If you want to win Super Bowls, that's as far as you'll go. If you want to achieve immortality, it's not possible, but you'll go so much further by trying to achieve that than if you don't. So the Chiefs are in that territory, and there are not many teams in sports that have reached that territory. So it's you're in legendary status now.
Yep.
You become immortal. If you get 3 in a row, you become immortal. If you have a perfect season, you become immortal.
Yep.
Right. And if you end up somehow breaking Tom Brady's record, you also become immortal.
Yeah.
By the way, only like one team in each sport has done anything I'm talking about.
Yeah, pretty much.
All right.
Yeah. It's really very, very rare, right? Like it's like the Celtics of like the NBA and like
the Bulls can't say that the Bulls three-peated, but they didn't six-peat.
Right.
You know, they did do back-to-back three-peats, which is amazing. But basketball lends itself to that. And then New York Islanders won 4 cups in a row.
Yep.
You know, we've had 5-time winners in hockey.
And the Yankees have won 5 in a row at various points.
Absolutely.
Right? And you know, and still, and their three-peat of the late 90s with all the modern things in 4 out of 5 years was also extra impressive because of the modern era with the free agency and all this other stuff. But yeah, it's very, very rare. It's very, very rare. And it's crazy to see in football that we're basically getting back-to-back dynasties.
Yeah.
Patriots have obviously passed the torch onto the Chiefs.
It's a culture question, and the Chiefs have that culture. And again, it's funny in sports, you know, when the Chiefs first won, I was all for it. Andy Reid fan. I loved it. Then they kind of get to that evil empire stage where it's like, I don't want to see them win again. But then for me, it almost flips again where it's like, well, now you're chasing something bigger than the game. So it's like, if you're not playing the Eagles, you know, maybe I do want you to win. I don't know. I mean, if they're playing the Cowboys, I want them to win. You know what I mean? So, but that's not
Absolutely.
going to happen anytime soon. So
No, probably not. No, I mean, that's the thing. It's going to be interesting to see what happens from here. Also, big shout out to Steve Spagnuolo, the defensive coordinator for the Chiefs. He is the first coordinator to win 4 Super Bowls as a coordinator. He was the defensive coordinator for the Giants when they upset the perfect season for the Patriots, Super Bowl 42, and then has now won 3 Super Bowl championships as a defensive coordinator for these Chiefs.
So. And he called a brilliant game last night. Like, if you're a fan of tactical football,
yes, he might. I think he is probably the greatest defensive coordinator of all time. If in terms of success, in terms of success, he definitely is. Well, he did not have a great coach. He was the head coach for 3 years for the Rams. That did not turn out well. So some people will say, well, Bill Belichick. I'm like, I would say Bill Belichick's the greatest coach of all time. I'm saying very specifically just as a defensive coordinator. And look, there was like Dick LeBeau for the Steelers for many years and stuff. But I think, again, no defensive coordinator as a justice coordinator has won 4 Super Bowls.
And, I think a lot of things, coordinators are a very different job than head coach. Sometimes I wonder how much people realize that they are insanely different jobs.
Yeah.
Right. Like the coordinator is not just the head coach of the D. That's not how you look at it, in my opinion. Right. It's like that's just their sole focus. The other thing I'll say too is that I'm always talking about putting the ball in the players' hands. Mm-hmm. And look, I will say it's a little easier to do that on defense than offense. Mm-hmm. But you heard the announcers last night. Like he understands he has to get Mahomes the ball, and he's not going to sacrifice anything, any play, any coverage, anything. And his play calling was aggressive and perfect, and it actually goes right into what I'm saying of offensive. You got to play a perfect game. And again, they just came slightly short of that, Ray. It wasn't.
Yes.
That's a regular season win on all other 30 teams in the league. Yep. You know what I mean? I did my math there really quickly, and I'm correct because you can't play yourself, and then we're talking about the Chiefs. But it's a win. That's a win every other game, every other week. It's a win, except in the Super Bowl. So congrats to the Kansas City Chiefs. I mean, it's a huge accomplishment. Yes, it seems like they're there every year now, but you got to take a step back sometimes. It's easy to say when it's not your conference, but I mean, you're looking at legendary on the border of immortality now.
Yeah.
As a coach, I can appreciate that. I really can. And they faced more adversity this year than ever before. Yeah. They're all saying
they don't have a true number 1 receiver. They had injuries on the offensive line.
Taylor Swift, they found a way.
Yeah, and the difference is Patrick Mahomes. Patrick Mahomes. I mean, look, if he continues on this, he will be the greatest. Sorry, Tom. If Patrick Mahomes continues at this pace, Patrick will be the greatest quarterback of all time.
Absolutely. Well, I'm sure Tom would be okay with that, just knowing Tom Brady. But, the other thing.
Well, the same way Joe Montana was okay when Brady passed him.
When you set a record, it can be broken, but it cannot be replaced, if that makes sense.
Sure.
For the time that you played. Now, hot button question here, Ray. Do you think Andy Reid will retire?
No.
I do not either. A lot of that talk's going around. Unless his health keeps him from doing it, he is also now on the verge of immortality. Why would you leave? Why would you leave now? Unless you have a good reason. And look, there are good reasons. Don't get me wrong.
Sure.
But that's been going around. I don't believe Andy Reid will retire. I actually think that the Kansas City Chiefs are only going to get stronger in the offseason.
Yeah. No, I mean, there's talks that they're going to bring him back. Former offensive coordinator Eric Bieniemy now as a consultant for certain things, and there's definitely the Chiefs. That's the destination. That's the place to go. I mean, Andy Reid is only 65.
The fact that the Chiefs are in a position to improve right now is insane. Like they're in a big position to improve from the Super Bowl win. It's amazing.
And you look at all the free agent receivers and whatnot are out there. Like they can draft. Like they can this again. To be fair. This is very different from their other championships under Mahomes because it was more on the defense, I would say, than the offense. Yeah. Even though, again, Patrick, of course, did have those great drives there.
He's the greatest quarterback. I mean, he's in the ever conversation already. So
sure. But to me, this is kind of like when the Patriots beat the Rams 13-3, right? This was a much more defensive-minded and oriented team, and they still won. And that's the thing that's scary is that if they can keep this defense together, and if they can add more weapons for Mahomes, the sky is the limit. Who can knock off these teams? And I know there are people who are like, well, Joe Burrow was hurt and Josh Allen didn't play great. I'm like, sure, there are other great quarterbacks in the AFC. The Ravens had their chance. The Bills had their chance. And the Chiefs handled their business.
I got to say this too. For anybody who's arguing, well, they're not hurt. The Chiefs are absolutely hurt.
Oh, absolutely.
And so are the Niners. All right. Why do you think these
Absolutely.
guys are falling apart in the Super Bowl? It's because
Yeah.
they're at the end of the road.
It's a
All right.
long
Yeah,
season.
these guys are hurt. Okay. They might not be out of the play hurt, but like, it's like hockey does, right? Like you get the list of injuries. Like, oh, this guy
Yeah.
had a broken rib and a broken foot, and they were playing
Yeah.
through it. I mean, I saw a guy last night on the sidelines, his fingers out, pulled it back in, he got back in the game.
Yeah.
All right?
Like
The guy's shoulder clearly came out, got back in
yes.
the game.
Yes.
All right. So they're hurt too. All right. And some of it is how much pain you can take. And
Yeah.
again, I don't want to put myself on a pedestal here. I've played through immense amounts of pain that surprised me today.
Yeah.
Like I can't believe I played through that. But when your will is there, you don't feel that pain. And when you win, you really don't feel that pain for 24 to 48 hours.
Yeah.
And then you really feel the pain.
Yeah.
But it's worth it. All right. So
Yeah.
again, I've said this 100 times, right? The level of competitiveness it takes to compete at a professional sport. I don't mean this in a condescending way. I do not think a lot of people understand what you have to get to win.
No.
All right. And it would almost be off-putting and scary for people to see how much these guys want to win. Again, look at Travis Kelce running into Andy Reid last night.
Yeah,
it's funny how many people were complaining about that. And I said,
and they're still complaining about it the day after. Get over yourselves.
The trust that they have for each other allows for that to happen. Like we don't argue with our families from time to time, right? They have an immense trust for each other. Not to mention, you got taken out of context. I saw what Travis was saying. Put me in, mother beep.
Yeah,
right? That's the guy I want on my sideline.
Well, that's the
right?
thing. One of your star players is like, get me the damn ball, right? It was like the Keyshawn Johnson when he was with the Jets. Right. You gotta put your best players in a position to succeed, and it's just one of those things where, like
saying that,
yeah,
and he did. He had huge plays.
And that Travis Kelce was the player of the second half, aside from Mahomes. He had 9 catches, or he had 8 catches on 9 targets for 92 yards in the second half in overtime. He was a game changer. But that's also, again, talks to Andy Reid making his halftime adjustments and why he's a great coach. And obviously, they have that relationship. Andy Reid made the joke where he was like, I thought Travis had outgrown his temper. It's already been swept under it's already past it.
Yeah,
winning also helps, but people, that's the thing. People are looking for the chinks in the armor of the Kansas City Chiefs. And guess what, folks? There just aren't any. No. And they're the champion. And if you want to take them down, draft well, develop players, and we'll see you next year.
That's just how it works. I don't know how to tell people that. I do have to say this last thing about the Super Bowl. I think my favorite moment was when Harbin made the catch and clearly didn't realize that he had won the Super Bowl, or was so like, wait. Because you see Mahomes, and like he clearly, like there was no celebration. It was just like, what do we do now?
He actually said it in the post game. Hardman said it. He's like, I just kind of blacked out. I really did. I just kind of like.
He was focused, right? He was focused on. We talk about this all the time. Like you don't stop playing.
It was almost just muscle memory at that point.
Yeah, well, like I said, you don't stop playing until they put the trophy in your hand. And yes, guys can get that focus where they don't realize what's happening and they just keep playing. But that was a pretty fun moment.
Better that he doesn't realize it like that as the ball's coming to him that's going to win the Super Bowl.
Yeah, I did think that my minor criticism from the broadcast crew, because I'm not against Tony Romo, I actually like him, but I don't think you read that final play correctly. He kept talking about the overtime rules, and you got to let your play-by-play announcer set up a play that big.
Yeah.
And then when they went into describing the play, and it's like, guys, that's one where you got to read the situation. And like you could tell he had it all set up because like throws jackpot, and I was like, yeah, you wanted to do that better, didn't you? But it is what it is.
Yeah, it's well. I mean, I think. Honestly, we've talked about like the broadcast. First off, like I think the broadcasters out there, I think in general have just gotten worse and worse over the years. I think Jim Nantz should stick to golf at this point. He sounds like a golf announcer trying to broadcast football at this point.
Well, and I know Al Michaels can't do it, and they wouldn't let him do it because it wasn't an NBC year. But Al Michaels would have been great on that call, I believe.
Well, I think that's part of the reason why people are making fun of him over at Thursday night. Is like because they've gotten nothing but terrible games.
Yeah. What do you want him to do? Yeah.
It's no. I think it's time that the Geeks Who Like Sports should be allowed to call the Super Bowl next year.
Yeah, it's time. It's time. We have non-sponsors. We have hats and mugs. I mean, what is holding you back? We have 40 plus years of experience.
Yes.
NFL.
I wasn't actually. Everybody's applauding the Nickelodeon broadcast as being the superior broadcast
It was
to the CBS broadcast.
Yeah, it was hilarious.
It's like at this point, the Manning brothers are better than Joe Buck and Troy Aikman.
They get a game every week. So
SpongeBob and Patrick are better than Jim Nance and Tony Romo.
Touchdown.
It's just. I mean, they were having some pot shots too. It was kind of funny. Like it's like Patrick, like when I think when there was a fumble, he's like, "You gotta hold on to the ball."
Yeah, it was really funny.
It's just really, it was well done.
For those of you watching,
Ian Eagle's a great broadcast, a great play-by-play man too. It's just really,
our producer's having a field day with the lower thirds. You got to watch this on YouTube.
I agree. She just put SpongeBob greater than Romo. I agree with that 100%. 110%. SpongeBob doesn't choke in the playoffs like Tony Romo does.
Yeah,
Tony Romo's still choking in the playoffs.
I'll say this: the infinite image of Tony Romo. Unfortunately, I mean this. That not that I ever root for the Cowboys, but is him holding his helmet on the goal line. I can never get that image out of my head. Right after they lost that game. So anyway, Super Bowl started out really slow. Gained momentum. Good finish. Happy finish. Glad it's over. Ready for next football season already. For both our teams, Ray, and the draft. So we'll see where it goes from there. But hockey season is here. But before we move on to the Super Bowl, we got to talk about something else at the Super Bowl for Rise.
The everything in between the Super Bowl, right? The actual
the
game.
Space between spaces.
Yes. There was like a halftime show or something. It was fine. But yeah.
Okay.
Actually, I could say it was very entertaining. The halftime.
Well, he did a great job. He did a great job. Actually,
Usher
our
and
producer
John and everybody else there, like
our producer sent me this great tweet today because my wife was asking last night, like, wow, these kind of commercials and these acts, they're very relevant to our age. Yeah. And I turned to my wife. I said, "Yeah, we're the consumer now. Like we're the prime
target audience.
And that was the tweet. It says it's really great to be the target audience because there's people like Usher. Usher's kind of old, and I'm like, nah, not for us.
He's our age.
Yeah, he's at least 5 years older than us, right?
Right.
Yeah. I'm a Xennial. We are Xennials. Proud Xennials. That's Gen X.
But the thing that we still got super excited about made us feel like kids again was Deadpool 3. Deadpool and Wolverine.
He's not disqualified here. We can talk about it.
Yes. They teased the trailer. I don't know about you. I immediately watched the trailer as soon as the game was over. It looks phenomenal. They're working into the TVA. And that's how Deadpool, I guess, is going to go somehow and get the X-Men and whatnot, which we kind of knew was probably what they were going to do. They didn't even show, by the way, Hugh Jackman as Wolverine. They only showed his shadow, which was really brilliantly done. I mean, it's coming out July 26th. I think it's going to be the movie of the summer. Give it all the awards already. I think it is phenomenal. I am ready for it. Deadpool and Wolverine. I can't say enough about it. This is going to be the best Marvel movie literally in years.
Yeah, and look, from the trailer, complete spoilers here, by the way. From the trailer, it looks like we know they're using the TVA because it starts out with the TVA coming to get him, right? Pulling him out of his universe, right? And he alludes that I need to save the universe. So, Ray, you're right.
By the way, as he's fighting on the destroyed 20th Century Fox sign,
right? I was just going to bring that up. It's a huge Easter egg. That I'm going to guess that the 20th century world is collapsing and they're trying to save some people. He's going to bring all the X-Men, like you said, with him over to the MCU. And we saw a shot of the MCU characters. And there's been a lot of writing about this show. They won't let Ryan Reynolds improvise. I have complete faith that Ryan Reynolds is doing the right thing with this and he knows where he's going. Not to mention Hugh Jackman holds a little bit of power with that character. So I love that it's Deadpool and Wolverine. Again, we shouldn't assume, by the way, that the audience knows a lot about these two characters together. Because I remember when Cable and Deadpool came out, a lot of people didn't know about that. And I remember when Deadpool, the first movie, came out almost 10 years ago, people were like, who's this? And I remember telling people, this is the greatest character in the history of comics. And I'm actually not saying that like loosely, all right? Like to pull off a fourth wall breaking, sarcastic character is insanely hard. It's hard because you can get real lazy with it, and they have never gotten lazy with it. So I'm looking forward to that. I'm looking forward to seeing where they're going to be going with this. And again, for the audience, Wolverine and Deadpool have one of the most aggressive relationships in comic book history. Yeah. It is not a love-hate relationship. For Wolverine, it's a hate-hate relationship. And for Deadpool, it's a love-love relationship.
Yes, sir.
So I am looking forward to this. Again, a lot of people don't realize they have extremely similar powers. from their healing
Yeah.
factor, right? Wolverine has the adamantium skeleton, and Deadpool has a sense of humor. So we'll see where this goes, but looking forward to it very much. You saw all the characters from the first two films that are still alive in the beginning
Yep.
of the trailer. I'm interested to see if we'll see Cable, right?
Yep.
And then it's who are they going to import over? Now, Ray, the bigger question I have for you is with Jonathan Majors out of the picture.
Yeah.
They have an opportunity to use this film to really change the trajectory a little bit of the MCU. The question is, do they have the guts to do it? Right? I don't know.
I don't think with this one. I don't think with this film.
Yeah.
I think this film's focus is get the X-Men into the MCU. I think that is the primary goal of this. They'll fix the Jonathan Majors thing later.
Right.
I think this is, especially because this had been written a while ago. I think this isn't the place to try and shoehorn that in. This is the place. Get the X-Men into the MCU.
Second question. Do we see Loki in this film?
That is a great question. If you do, it's only as a cameo or he's still sitting.
That's what I think.
The Tree of Stories. Like
so
that's I want to see that now. I want to see
yes,
Deadpool meet Loki.
Well, look, it makes sense.
Yes.
All right. It makes a lot of sense. I would love for there to be a scene. And by the way, I'll be okay if this doesn't happen.
Yes.
But I would love to see
fun,
a scene
but it's not necessary.
Where the former God of Mischief, quote unquote, hires Deadpool to save the MCU.
Yes.
It makes a lot of sense.
Perfect agent of chaos.
Right. You could do that. And like the jokes that they could have together, even in a 5-minute scene or less, like at the end of the film of like, this is why I had the TVA come to get you.
Yeah.
Right. Now, it may not happen. I'm going to say it again. I'm okay if it doesn't happen.
Sure.
But I think that would be a good way of kind of turning the MCU of like, hey, these two are kind of in control and it's chaos. Right. Because I don't think they're going to position Deadpool to return to these films. I think they're going to accomplish something and move on. And then
I think Deadpool will be cameos in future films, especially if they start doing like solo X-Men stuff.
For sure.
And maybe even an X-Men 97, the cartoon, all that stuff.
That would be amazing.
But I think this will be the last standalone Deadpool movie.
Oh, I 100% believe it will be, because I said you have to be very responsible with this character because of what he can do. One of his powers is the fourth wall break. Like it's been decided that's a power of his. Yeah. So last question for you, Ray, before we move on. Do you believe they will connect the X-Men universe that we saw at the end of the Marvels as the Fox universe, or is that another universe in which the X-Men exist?
No, I think that's going to be the Fox universe.
I think
that's why we could get Photon in this film, however briefly, when everything gets crossed back. And actually, that would be great because then you immediately bring Photon back. That's how you bring her back and everything. And then you have Binary, who's played by her mom, and you have them as separate characters.
Right.
And that also, you could also have Rogue absorb one of the powers at the end, at the end. If I can't think of her name right now, who plays Photon, if she doesn't want to do any more movies, go into the universe, she gets her powers back. Yeah. Rogue saps her powers, she goes into a coma. That's it. We're good.
Right. I'm sure that the original actress Rogue wouldn't have a problem. The other thing too, final point on that is that we know from other Marvel shows that when you're in the wrong universe, it destabilizes that universe.
Yeah.
Photon is not supposed to be there. Right. So they have an opportunity there. I'll say again, if they don't go there, I'm okay with it. But I would like if they could do that brilliantly, or if they just stay basically with Deadpool. It's going to be great. Yeah. Fantastic trailer. It wasn't the only fantastic thing we saw that night, though.
No, there were some good commercials, for sure. Some other good trailers, some interesting movies, Wicked and Twisters, which of course is the sequel to Twister. But the best commercials, there's two for me, right? The number 2 one was the Michael Cera one, where he basically is doing skin cream for CeraVe, and he's basically like, it's made by me because I'm Michael Cera, and he's talking to like a room of dermatologists, and they're just like, no, that's not how this works. No, and it was very, very funny. It was very, very funny. But my favorite, by far, was the Dunkin' Donuts commercial with the Dunkings, led by Ben Affleck, Matt Damon, who did not want to be there, Tom Brady, who sort of wanted to be there. and just storming J-Lo's recording studio to record a boy band-esque song. By the way, Dunkin' Donuts has put out like a whole new menu now around the Dunkings,
Yeah.
specialty drinks, munchkins, the mini munchkins on a skewer, right? Like a whole bunch of different things that Dunkin' has done. By far, best commercial of the Super Bowl. Dunkin's marketing team does it again. Totally thrilled.
So the reason this worked, few reasons. One, instant facial recognition from all the people in that
All
thing,
the
from
celebrities,
Tom
yes.
Brady to Ben Affleck to Matt Damon to J-Lo and other people in the room. Number one.
Yes.
Number two, you put them in a position to make fun of themselves in a fun way. All of them. Which
Yes.
that's very authentic and fun. You know they're having fun. Three, makes you feel like you're in the room with them. Makes you feel like, oh, it's a bunch of friends having a good time. Tom Brady was actually really brilliant in this commercial. Him
and Matt Damon stole it. Matt Damon at the end there walking with Ben Affleck and being like, when I told you I would do anything for you, this is anything.
Yeah. Now, the other thing too, great film callbacks with the how do you like them donuts? I'm so sorry. Brilliant, right?
Yeah.
Just brilliant that the audience knows what you're talking about. And then 4 or 5, I don't know what number I'm on. And this is the key piece, Ray. You said it. It led you somewhere. At the end of the commercial, Damon says, hey, they're naming some menu items after us, which is like, what are you talking about? You go there today and you can see them, right? I'm sure it's not going to be that long. It might be a week or a month or even just a few days knowing Dunkin' Donuts. By the way, for those of you who don't know, Ben Affleck, Matt Damon, from Boston, Dunkin' Donuts, huge presence in Boston. Obviously, Tom Brady has some ties to Boston. You know, it was just brilliantly executed. And it's like you can justify probably $50 million they spent on that, when you have to get all those actors in there. Although I know Ben Affleck kind of has a pseudo deal with Dunkin' Donuts that no one talks about. But like brilliantly done. Good on everyone for not being afraid to make a ridiculous commercial. Dunkin' Donuts known kind of to do this stuff. They did that Al Pacino fake commercial in that movie with Adam Sandler. Nobody saw that film. But that's been resurfacing. Dunkin' is what Dunkin' is. It is not the greatest coffee or donut you will ever have in your life, but you got to stop at Dunkin' to get your day going because America runs on Dunkin'. They brilliantly executed marketing.
It is solid.
We should have a non-sponsor of the week in which we have that skewer. Dunkin' Donuts. We're pretty funny guys too.
I drink a lot of Dunkin'. To be fair, this is one of the few times I don't have a Dunkin' coffee with me here before the show.
Right.
But I drink a lot of Dunkin'. I drink a lot of Dunkin'.
He does a lot. And Ray, I'll also say that Ray and I sat through all your name changes. We were Dunkin' Donuts. We were there with the guy with the mustache when he was making the donuts in the morning. Then it was Dunkin' Donuts, and then it was DD, and now it's just Dunkin'.
Yeah.
All right. Ray is a true Dunkin'. That's what it says at the bottom of the screen.
I am such a Dunkin' fan. I didn't, bought the Red Sox hat where instead of it being a B, it's 2 small D's in the Red Sox font on top of each other.
Yeah.
But it's still a Red Sox hat, so no.
I never.
But I got real. For a second, I thought about it.
I never would have let you live that down.
Yeah, no, I could not do it.
For those of you who watch the show, sometime Ray comes on here and complains about his teams. I just don't care because he has so many championships in his lifetime. He's not going to get any sympathy from me. But I do appreciate that he makes the attempt to be down here with the rest of us.
Yes, that's right. I try. Like Caitlin said, I am a true Dunkin'.
You Dunkin'.
Yes.
I do want to shout out too that I did appreciate the Schwarzenegger commercial. It was well executed.
It was very good. Yes.
I don't know if you saw the extended one
Honorable
or the full one with Danny DeVito in it too.
Yes, that was hysterical. Throwback to Twins, and obviously they're very good. And Caitlin immediately on it. Neighbor.
I'll tell you right.
This lady's in labor.
I was when he started going through the different words. The one that got me, it wasn't any of the different words. It's when he landed with the sheep, and they all went bah. It's just like this is now really making fun of yourself in the best way possible. Again, another key of sarcasm. But him and Danny DeVito, for a lot of people don't notice, they're making Twins too. They're making a sequel to their famous movie Twins, which a lot of people don't realize. Right? Here's one for you, buddy.
Yeah.
I like to read. I was reading Schwarzenegger's newest book. It's called Be Useful, and he talks about twins. Right, because at that time he was not a comedian in any way.
He wasn't. This was his first comedic role.
Right, yeah. and so he goes to the studio with the director, and they basically set a deal. Are you ready for this? But him, DeVito, and I can't remember was it Reitman who directed that? Whoever it was, they funded the film because the studio didn't want to take the risk. And on the way back, they got some insane residuals from the movie. Like they own that movie basically. And it turned into not only what top box office hit, but it is, I believe, one of the top 3 most bought VHS films in history.
Yeah.
And Schwarzenegger says in this book, and he's right. If you go to anybody's house that kind of has VHS tapes, it's almost impossible that they don't have twins. Right.
So to be fair, I'll give you some specific numbers here. First of all, you're right. It was Ivan Reitman. Yeah. And basically for bankrolling the most of the film, Schwarzenegger, DeVito, and Reitman would split 40% of the film's box office and rental returns and VHS sales.
Right.
Wait, to put
that in context, actors don't get that.
Yeah.
Right. Actors don't get any residuals.
And this is 1988 money. And it was easily by far the biggest paychecks of their careers because the film was made for $18 million, right? The 3 of them each put up $6 million.
Yeah.
The box office return was $217 million.
Insane.
So again, let's do some quick math here. We're gonna be real nerds, right?
Yeah, Caitlin, you should change the bottom to Geeks Who Like Sports now.
So 40% of that is $87 million. So they put up $6 million. They each got $29 million in return.
That's just on the box office.
Yeah, that's just.
I don't even know what the VHS.
That does not include the VHS rentals and sales. That's
rentals and sales, and it's like everyone in the country got that movie. So and that's just insane business, and shows you how well he's made some mistakes. Schwarzenegger is one of the most brilliant business people of all time.
Yeah.
In that industry, and he's just a go-getter. I really enjoyed that book. Again, it's called Be Useful. You should go check that out if you're interested in that life. The other thing too is, again, they're making a sequel to Twins with Eddie Murphy, I believe. So it was kind of cool to see them together to show you that that's coming. And again, if you haven't seen the movie Twins, which I know our producer Caitlin hasn't, because she hasn't seen anything, you got it. It is a great film.
Yeah,
I would say this today. In the 2020s, it's a very late 80s film, and you can tell, but the story is wonderful.
Yes.
Right? And you should definitely go see it. Twins with Arnold Schwarzenegger and Danny DeVito. You will laugh. It is a great movie with Julius. That's his name in that. Check it out. I don't know how we turned this into a non-sponsor, but Twins is your official non-sponsor.
If Arnold Schwarzenegger wants to sponsor the show, we will be Geeks Who Like Sports neighbor.
We could be your neighbor.
You could be your neighbor. That was honestly that would be.
You can be our savior.
Sure. Yeah, that would be an honorable mention. Absolutely. Top 3 commercials. Dunkin, Michael Cera, Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
Yeah, because here's the thing. It takes me a while. I'll say this because the Dunkin one, the product is a lot more prominent. The Michael Cera, I think Michael Cera first. I think Arnold Schwarzenegger first, even though they were for CeraVe and for State Farm. Those were their products.
Yeah, it was well done. And again, the other ones were all very blah this year. There were some other ones that were okay. That was kind of funny.
There are definitely some other ones where when you realize they paid $7 million for the 30 seconds, that their marketing agencies should be fired because they definitely did not get their money's worth, in my opinion.
I agree.
The 3 we mentioned, totally worth it. But trust me, folks, there's a whole lot of other commercials out there that did not move the needle. So, of course, the Super Bowl this year was in Vegas. Our producer, Caitlin, asking about Temu. That commercial was awful. Zero interest in that. Anyway, and they ran that commercial like 3 times. That's anyway.
A lot of money.
Yeah, a lot of money. Super Bowl was in Vegas. You know who's not possibly going to be in Vegas now, coming years?
A baseball team?
The Oakland Athletics. There is an issue. So even though the owners in baseball have ratified the move, even though the owner of the Athletics has told Oakland they will not be playing in Oakland after next year, Vegas is now saying, we didn't agree to this. We did not agree to tear down the Tropicana. The mayor says we don't want the Athletics here. We don't want Major League Baseball, which, by the way, that's mind-boggling, by the way, for the mayor to say that. Because to me, you would want every major sport in Vegas.
Yes. Yeah. This is some hardball, literally and figuratively, going on here.
I was going to say, I wonder if this is some way to be like, our taxpayers aren't funding this.
Yes, that's
right?
exactly what's happening.
And that's what it is. It's like the great pun, Lee, that this is some hardball here.
Well, hey, right? I
it
can
was
leave now. Show's over.
It was brilliant. Like, I don't think we can't top that today. Folks, good night, everybody. That's it. Show. That's it. No, that was a brilliant pun. Needs to be called out. But yeah, the Athletics might not go to Vegas now. And here's the crazy thing. We mentioned last week there were rumors about them being contracted. I'm really curious to see how this situation gets resolved, because now baseball is saying the original target was 2027 to be in Vegas. Now they're saying 2028, and now it's just question marks. Again, the Athletics have nowhere to play after this coming season, right?
And Vegas knows that.
And Vegas knows that.
Yeah, add that in. Yeah.
So this is going to be really fascinating to see how this shakes out. But the Oakland Athletics continue to be a once great and storied franchise, a team that has 9 World Series titles, 4 in Oakland, 5 in Philadelphia. And they might not have a home, and nobody wants them because, also, to be fair, their owner now has the reputation of being one of the worst owners in sports, easily the worst owner in baseball. And a lot of people just don't want to deal with that jackass. Lee, your thoughts?
I was waiting for the toss. Thank you for giving me the ball. This is politics, and this is Vegas saying you're not forcing anything on us. Mm-hmm. I think Vegas is knocking down the Tropicana is nothing for them. It's not a big deal. This is them just trying to create the best deal for themselves. Yeah. And in a weird way, Ray, I kind of respect it. This is what's making them a great sports city. Yeah. And think about where they're sitting. Like, look, we just had the Super Bowl. We have a Raiders team that's getting better. We have a Stanley Cup here.
Yeah.
And we're bringing in lots and lots of money.
Yeah.
So I don't need you. They can make their own baseball team. Yeah. Right? They don't need the A's. Let's just be honest about it, right?
We don't want somebody to move here. We want an expansion franchise.
Right. And I guarantee you, look, they listen, what's to stop them from saying the A's will die and we'll start our own team? I don't need to relocate this team.
That's right.
Right. So it's just hardball, like, again, literally and figuratively. The A's will be there on time. I really believe that. And look, there's other expansion cities too that would take them. I mean, they'll go. I hate to say this, but they'll go to Montreal if they have to for a few years.
I mean, Charlotte, Nashville. It would screw up the alignment and the travel. But there have been a lot of cities that have wanted Major League Baseball for a very long time.
Yes,
besides Vegas.
I will say this. I do believe this is just tactics. I believe they will be there. There's too much money to be made.
Yeah.
Right. So, but like this is the business side of baseball, right? Yeah. And I think that is what's happening here is that they didn't like something. So like, oh yeah, we didn't agree to this. What are you going to do? You need to be out. You need to be here. This is them literally playing their chips. There's another one, Ray. I did another one. It's easy with Vegas. Let's just be honest.
Calling the bluff, baby. Yeah. Calling the bluff.
It's what they're doing to hit an eventual jackpot as we move out of this now becoming a dad joke level segment.
Yeah. So it's curious to see what happens. By the way, pitchers and catchers report in 2 days.
I have to say this, Ray. Yes. Well, I did say at the top of the show, and we're going to get into hockey now. Yes. It is hockey season. I want you to know this is the first baseball season that I'm really looking forward to. Like last season, I was like, you know what? It kind of won me back a little bit. I'm interested. Now I really want to watch the Phillies. I really want to watch baseball. And again, I should say this, I want to watch the Phillies, right? Like NHL football, I can watch any football game, any hockey game. I want to watch the Phillies, right? I don't necessarily want to watch every baseball game. I don't need to say the Dodgers show every night. I don't care enough. But I do want to see my Phillies play. And it's a cool feeling that they're kind of coming back to this. Outside the joke of the Hall of Fame, I can get over that. Yeah. Baseball, not that I speak for a lot of fans in any way, but you are doing a good job. I feel like I'm patting them on the head, even though they don't. Yeah, overall. like just as a fan, I know you're a multi-billion-dollar giant, okay, but you're doing a good job. Let's not screw it up. Yeah, let's keep it going. Okay, they might have screwed it up with the Dodgers already, but we'll find out.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, that's the Dodgers taking advantage of the language of the law, but that'll be hashed out in 2026.
Okay, now we're gonna move on to the greatest game in the history of mankind that's played on ice.
Yes,
hockey is awesome.
Yes, we got several stories from the hockey world. The first one, I want to start off with my New York Rangers. Interesting, a little bit of goalie controversy going on here. We talked about it earlier in the year. We kind of poo-pooed it, But now it's starting to actually get real legitimate steam. Igor Shesterkin of all qualifying goalies in the month of January had the worst save percentage. He had an 87 save percentage. And honestly, a lot of folks were pointing at a couple of the Rangers' losses there to Igor. He gave up a lot more softies than usual. Meanwhile, Jonathan Quick, in his last 4 starts, has a 95 save percentage, and the Rangers are on a 4-game winning streak. Although Igor did win one of those games against Chicago, but even there, gave up the lead late. Igor has had a real tough time lately playing a full 60 minutes. Now, he was hurt earlier in the year. Some are suspecting they might have rushed him back. That's why the Rangers have been taking their time. They gave him the day off before the All-Star break, and Quick played the first 2 games after the All-Star break. And to be fair, I don't worry about the Chicago thing as much because goalies do need to be in a rhythm. So him having not played in 2 weeks, some of that could have been rust. But Lee, we have a 3-time Cup winner in Jonathan Quick. Shesterkin, a former Vezina winner in himself, a rising star in the league, still very young. But who is the Rangers goalie going to be going forward? Because Peter LVIII, the Rangers coach, has kind of been like, yeah, we'll see. I'll see who I play every night. Kind of feeling it out.
The goalie moving forward is going to be who wins games. Now, I'll tell you this too, right? This is the best thing that could happen for the Rangers right now. The term goaltending controversy is something that's created by the media and by the fans. All right. In today's NHL, I have a feeling these two have a lot of respect for each other, unless a report comes out that they hate each other, which has not happened.
No.
There's a lot of respect. Quick is actually there to mentor Shesterkin, and I'm sure he's mentoring him right now. All right. Here's the truth for old school hockey fans, especially Devils fans, where Brodeur plays 75 games a year. Those days are long gone, right?
Yes.
If you look at cup-winning teams and successful teams, their goalies are more like 60-40 splits now throughout the season, right? Backups, which is probably a term we should get rid of, is not what it used to be, right? Quick has been phenomenal this year. He is doing exactly the job of a second goaltender, which is get in there, win your games, keep us moving forward. All right.
Yep.
Shesterkin, I'd rather he go through his little dump right now than in the playoffs, right?
Yeah.
And this will only make him stronger. We talk about this beginning of the season, right? Every team goes through a lull. They go through a period like this. All right. And look, it's nice. Let's just say he doesn't get his game back. Yeah. You got a 3-time Stanley Cup winner and probably the greatest American goaltender of all time as your second goalie. That's a great place to be sitting as the New York Rangers right now, who are absolutely a cup-worthy team. The Toronto Maple Leafs are not. We'll get back to that.
Yes.
I just wanted to say that. But no, I don't believe it's a controversy. I believe that even if I was Shesterkin and I'm not playing bad, I want to get my starts, but I want to win. All right. And he's probably going through something right now. He will find his form. The most important thing is in that last 2 weeks of the season, you're humming, you're there, you know where you need to be, and you enter the playoffs ready to go. With that said, I've seen teams in the playoffs, their starter gets hurt in the first round, their backup comes in, he gets into the third round, the starter comes back in the third round, you get to the cup. It doesn't matter as long as you've got 2 good goalies. You've got 2 great goaltenders on the New York Rangers. They are a cup potentially bound team. All right. I'm telling you that. I'm telling you that, right? They are right up there in my eyes with Boston. They're right up there in my eyes with some of the top teams in the league.
Yeah.
And I think that this is the exact time you want this to be happening. So Rangers fans, relax. Okay. As someone who's had goaltending problems on his own teams for his entire life and again have one, which I don't want to get into right now.
Yeah, we talked about it last week. Yeah.
All right. Again, somehow the goaltender involved in this thing is our goaltender. Rangers fans, shut up and enjoy the ride. All right. Just shut up and enjoy the ride. You had Richter, you had Van Beesbrook. I'm going back now. You had Van Beesbrook,
Eddie Jacquemin.
You Van Beesbrook into Richter.
Yeah.
Then you had Richter kind of, it was a little bit of
he got hurt. He got hurt. And he had a couple of rough years there with Blackburn and Weeks.
Yeah, but you get Lundqvist. You got Lundqvist into Shesterkin. Shut up. Just shut up, okay, Rangers fans? That's the best luck I think I've ever seen in my life.
And our backup is a first ballot Hall of Famer.
Easily. Greatest American goalie of all time.
There's no way Jonathan Quick is not, in my opinion, a first ballot Hall of Famer.
Yeah, and you're getting used Jonathan Quick and he's still winning. Shut up, Rangers fans. Enjoy the ride.
12-4-3 this year with a 92% save percentage and a 2.2 GAA.
Yeah. Now, again, I'll say this too. If he was playing 80% of the starts, he would not have that record. He'd probably be very tired.
Yeah.
He's doing his job. All right. And yes, if he's well rested, which he is, for the playoffs and Shesterkin cannot get it going, you're sitting pretty damn good because I bet you he could do a playoff run.
Yep.
Rangers fans, enjoy the ride.
Gonna try. We're gonna try.
You know who else enjoyed the ride?
Yeah, well, I was gonna say, there's two. We mentioned you mentioned the Rangers are possibly a cup team. Two teams that are not going to be cup teams: the Ottawa Senators and the Toronto Maple Leafs. And I know the Leafs have a very good record right now, folks.
You are not built to win the cup.
They are not built for the playoffs. This is a regular season champion team at best.
Ray, it turns out that you do need defense and
goaltending
to win.
Yeah.
As of now, I'll say that for you Leafs fans, you don't have it.
Yep.
Okay. People can change in the playoffs and become
trade deadline coming up and all that other fun stuff. So.
But your front end is the strongest in the league, most likely outside Edmonton, but your back end is not. So fix that. Fix it. It is that simple. Fix it.
Yeah, that's it. But something that they might have to fix is I don't know. He supposedly was having his hearing today. Morgan Riley and Ridley Gregg, Morgan Riley of the Leafs and Ridley Gregg of the Senators. It was 4-3 Senators. Time running down on the clock. Gregg got a breakaway. The net was empty and decided to take a slap shot on the open net, really kind of putting that period on the exclamation point for that win, which, by the way, the Senators won the season series with the Leafs. Obviously, there's a bit of that Canadian rivalry there. Riley took exception to it and really hard cross-checked Gregg into the boards. He hit his head. It did not look good in the moment. And Riley looks like he may get some league disciplinary action against him for that. But Lee, I want to just get your thoughts on this, starting with Gregg taking the slap shot on the open net and then Riley's response and how much he responded to it.
Yeah, I've got very clear vision on this one, right? Mm-hmm. So here's the deal. If you are going to take a slap shot at an empty net, which I'm not going to even say you shouldn't do, okay? It is disrespectful, but maybe that was your intention, to be disrespectful to your opponent. That's part of sports in a way. I don't like to do that.
People are calling it the hockey bat flip, basically, kind of.
That's a great analogy, right? It's spiking the ball, right? There's a lot we could do here. Okay, the slam dunk, right? There's a lot. Okay, so if you're gonna do that, which again I would never do that. I don't agree with that, but it's part of the game. If you're gonna do that, and the Leafs head coach said this, there will be a response.
Right.
This is part of the the code a little bit in hockey, not so much the fighting code.
The unwritten rules and whatnot.
Yeah, if you're going to slap shot the puck into the net at the end of the game, there will be a response. Now, should that response be a cross check to the face? No, I don't agree. That's excessive. I don't think that's the right response. Should it be a fist to the face and a dropping of the gloves? And I do not do that to my team. That's exactly what I would have done. That might surprise some people, but if you're going to disrespect my team like that, and again, I don't know what happened on the team. You're going to drop the gloves with me and we're going to fight because that's not acceptable. You will not do that to my team. All right. So it's funny that Gregg was like shocked that people were coming after him. I think that shows you a little bit that I do believe while NHL players are tough, they're very tough, but some of the toughness in the league isn't there anymore. Right. There will be a response. And I, as a coach, fully expect my players somewhat legally, I mean, it depends how you look at fighting, but to legally respond. You don't aim to cross-check a guy and break his face. Right. I don't agree with that, okay? But yeah, should they have grabbed them and maybe thrown hands? Yeah, Gregg should have been ready for that, should have been willing to do it. If you're going to do it, if you're going to slap shot, you better be ready to fight, okay? Again, some of you might not agree with me. That's hockey, folks, all right? You're going to slap it, there's going to be a response. I thought it was appropriate that there was a response. I didn't like the actual response. Yes.
Yeah. No, I think I'm in agreement.
That's my take.
Here.
I'm leading them all week.
Yeah, I think Riley's response was too much. It was terrible. I mean, look, let's be honest. He took a kind of shot that, like, if you're not expecting a hit to the back of the head, that could generally really hurt a guy, possibly end his career. Like that was like that. You don't hit a guy in the head like that. Right? Again, like to Lee's point, you start a fight. And you drop the gloves and you handle
have
it.
Aggressive negotiations in that situation. That's something you can do in hockey. Look, I'll say this too, Ray, that if you go back 20, maybe more like 30 years, there's no hearing after that play.
Yeah.
All right. You go back 40 years, 50 years, that's just hot. That's just the play.
Right.
Right. I mean, people would break each other's ankles. There'd be no hearing. Right. But that's how the game has changed. A response was warranted. There was a response. I doubt Ridley Gregg will ever do that again.
Yeah, and I mean, and again, it goes back to the my bat flip analogy, where if a guy does like a really ridiculous bat flip on you when he hits a home run in baseball, if he's not due for any more at bats, the very next guy gets plunked.
Absolutely.
If he is due for an at bat, he gets plunked in his next at bat. But if you throw it at his head when you plunk him, that's when you've crossed the line, right? Again, there's degrees to the response. Again, in all these unwritten rules. And so, yeah, I think both players can be, two wrongs.
Again, if you don't respond, what does that say? What does that say about you and your team? Like, so again, and again, this is competitiveness. Look, I always say this: if it's against the law, like, it's legal to fight in hockey. It's not against the laws of hockey to fight. There's a penalty for it, but it's not outlawed, right? But crushing a guy to the face, that's assault.
Right.
So that's a general rule of thumb. If you can't do it in public outside fighting, which is legal in hockey, don't do it.
Yeah, I think that's it. So I think we're in agreement on this one. And speaking of empty nets, this was a fun little thing that happened this weekend as well. Alexander Ovechkin, who of course is chasing after Wayne Gretzky's all-time goals record, set a record on the way there. Didn't realize he was even close to this one. Wayne Gretzky had 56 empty net goals in his career, which was a record. And I say was because Alexander Ovechkin scored his 57th empty net goal of his career over the weekend, thus making him have at least the most empty net goals of all time, which was
put an asterisk on the puck when he breaks the real record, Ray, because it's different today. No, I mean, look, somebody told me, Caitlin told me this the other night, our producer, and I was like, okay. I mean, like where Ovechkin's at, you got to get him however you can, right? But I think the fact he paced Gretzky with this shows you kind of that he is the greatest goal scorer of all time.
Yeah,
right.
He's only 50 something off of Gretzky now.
He's a couple seasons away, barring a superhuman, outpouring of goals. He had a really slow start to this season, but he's since kept pace.
And he's had some injuries this year too and stuff.
Yeah. But like mathematically, here comes the geek part of the show. He would surpass Gretzky on this record on his way to that, by about 10, right? Yeah. So again, you got to get him however you got to get him. No one celebrated this, right? Except for the Capitals, who are having not a great season. So Alex Ovechkin, I am rooting for him. I do want him to break this record, but he's a couple seasons away. He is going to do it, no matter what.
Yeah, no. And funny enough, he then had a more normal goal the very next night against the Canucks in a losing effort anyway. He now has 13 goals on the season.
Yeah, which is very low for him, right?
Yes. Yeah, Again, he missed some time with injury and whatnot. Actually, I'm just curious now.
Good he left that. He said he didn't go to the All-Star game. I think that was absolutely the right move for him.
Oh, 100%. 100% get healthy, get focused.
Fine.
Exactly. Where is it? So yeah, he missed probably about a week's worth of games. He's played in 48 games now. And Washington has played 50 something at this point.
Yeah, I think he's going to get
51,
25 goals this season, and he'll come back next week, and we'll see what next season we'll see what happens. But yeah, he's a couple seasons away. He's healthy enough to make it to there. I just hope he doesn't, fall across the finish line in getting this. And I don't think he will. I think some of this is also about the Capitals just making some moves to get him a pure playmaker that can get him the puck a little bit more. Yeah,
the Caps are not a playoff team this year.
No,
in all likelihood either. So anyway, moving on now, we're talking about big events all day and whatnot. It probably was the biggest event actually last week. Even at least we talked about this with the press conference for WWE. We have now seen the press conference, and it is all but official, folks. The Rock is once again a heel.
Yes.
Heel Rock is hurt. He is a bad guy. In fact, he even went so far as when somebody got very, very nasty with him on social media, he's like, I'm playing a heel. This is what we do in wrestling. Enjoy the ride. I'm very, very much paraphrasing. The Rock had a very long and very detailed response, but he did say, in the very beginning, he's like, I'm a heel, and clearly stated he's a bad guy. He's clearly aligned himself with his cousin Roman to take on probably Cody Rhodes in some way, probably put roadblocks in Cody's way as we are on the road to WrestleMania, and it looks like, in all likelihood, that Cody will finish his story now at WrestleMania after this press conference, thankfully, because it definitely looked like WWE didn't know what they were doing there for a while. And we'll talk about that in a bit. But Lee, what are your thoughts on The Rock as a heel returning and the press conference in general?
Well, Ray, I'm a huge Rock fan. I always have been from his early days in the WWE.
Mhm.
Look, first off, I love that he turned heel. I love that he protected his blood. Great monologue, by the way,
Yeah.
of you insulting my family. Now we have a problem. That was
Mhm.
really classic Rock. One of the things I'm seeing out of this too, Ray, is because he's very invested in the character. A lot of times when we see the Rock return, it's he's here and he's kind of gone. He never seemed fully invested in the character of the Rock once he departed for the Hollywood.
Right.
You know what I mean? But this time I'm seeing, oh no, he's invested. Mainly because, as we know, he's part of the WWE board, and we had this joke off the show, Ray, but I'm going to tell the audience that I just have a feeling Triple H called him and said, "Look, this is what's happening with Vince McMahon. We need to save wrestling, not
Yeah.
just the WWE. We need to save wrestling." And who better than The Rock to come in and help with that? What I love about it is, again, full heel, fully almost invested, and he's only going to get better as he goes and gets the reps in
Yes.
as The
Yes.
Rock. But this is something that he's doing, Ray, that
Mhm.
none of the other wrestlers were doing, and this is where I think the real brilliance in this move is. He knows his audience, and he knows they're not stupid.
Yeah.
So he's saying, you just said it, I'm a heel.
Yeah.
I know you want Cody to finish this story. He's saying everything that we've been saying in the public
Mhm.
about this story in the open. The WWE hasn't done that, right? They've
Yeah.
just kind of gone along with it. And like, okay, he's acknowledging the fans, which is brilliant.
Yeah.
That is how you get people to come in. And also how you turn yourself from heel to babyface with no problem,
Right.
right? But I mean, he's been hilarious going around on Pat McAfee show talking about how Cody needs to
The
finish his
Cody the
story.
Cody crybabies. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, he's just nailing it, right? And
Yeah.
and again, we needed this to happen. Um, it's also set up a great WrestleMania, and again, we're going to talk about this too. You know, The Rock cannot be in the WWE forever. Ray and I were
Mhm.
looking at upcoming films with The Rock because here's the deal: does a lot with Disney. Moana
Yep.
2 is coming out. It's
Yeah.
one of these
November.
films in
Yep.
November, and I know that Disney is telling Dwayne Johnson, you cannot be a wrestling heel when we promote this film
Right.
because the kids can't hate you. So Ray and I believe, and we could talk about this a little bit too,
Yeah.
and amongst other things, that The Rock has a storyline here that's going to run through SummerSlam.
Yep.
Right, that's enough time for him to be in WrestleMania, and then potentially do something large at SummerSlam. Now, Ray, what I'd want
Yep.
to see, and a lot of people are going to disagree with me in this, is the unification of the championship belts. Right, I know that each show has one.
Yep.
Right, I don't like that. I
Yep.
think it's a better storyline if there's one and it gets traded back and forth. That
Yeah.
creates competition. It creates, value. It doesn't mean you won't watch one of the shows, but it's like a conference thing, right? Only one conference wins the Super Bowl, Stanley
Yep.
Cup. I would love to see the reunification of those two belts. But in the meantime, you've got your WrestleMania matches that you need to have. It's going to be great,
Yep.
right? And it's going to lead to a SummerSlam. I don't know, Fatal 4-Way. I don't know what they're going to do, but they're going to do
I
something.
don't even know. It might just be head of the table. It might just be, again, there's the possibility because we still don't know. We do know that Rock and Roman will be appearing on this coming week's SmackDown, but we don't know if Rock can turn on Roman at some point. We could have that head of the table.
Good.
We could have
Yeah.
that head of the table match once the title is on Cody.
Right.
They also, the sad thing coming out of this press conference is it made Seth Rollins, the current world heavyweight champion, look a little weak. Looked like he was kind of an afterthought there. It was very Cody, Rock, Roman heavy,
Yeah,
even
it
though
had to
Seth
be
was
that way.
there.
I'm sure he
Yeah.
knew that. I'm sure. And here's the thing. I'm sure deals were made that, like, look, you're going to have a WrestleMania match, but
Yep.
SummerSlam's we're going to do this again. Look, we cannot forget this. This is all one gigantic tactic to have people not look at Vince McMahon right now for the
Yep.
horrible piece of trash that he is.
Mhm.
Okay, and like I said, I think that if The Rock comes in, and I think Dwayne Johnson has this power, along with Triple H, and says, "Look, guys, we're not in a good spot here. This is a 6-month plan, and we have got to save wrestling, and this is how we're going to do it. And in this plan, Rollins, you're going to look great. Tribal Chief's going to look great. Cody, you're going to finish your story. And then on top of it, I'm going to leave the greatest babyface I've ever been."
Mhm.
That's what I think is going to happen. All
Yeah,
right.
no, and I think honestly, and you might have you have Triple H right now in the corner of Cody. Now Triple H can't wrestle anymore because of his heart, but he is obviously still there as a character as the CCO. Everybody knows that he's the CCO, blurring that lines. I could even see a double turn where Triple H turns heel, which is what he's been most of his career, and then Rock turns face. And
Right.
they're in the corner of their respective guys or something. Like there's a lot they can do here. We're gonna get more clarification as this goes on towards the road to WrestleMania. I think still you're going to have maybe night one tag match, Rock and Roman versus Cody and Seth. And then the next night you have Seth defend the World Heavyweight Championship against Drew McIntyre, because Seth is also wrestling hurt right now. They've said that he's going to more than likely drop the belt at WrestleMania. But you have him drop it probably to like a Drew McIntyre, and then you have Cody finish the story on night 2 of WrestleMania.
Finish his story. In Philadelphia, where WrestleMania is going to be, all 4 nights of it.
Which, by the way, was you also did not want Philadelphia to be against the main event of WrestleMania.
It's not going to play out well for anybody. But no, Ray, I like where this is going. It seems like the right direction. Again, we talked last episode. I'm so happy that The Rock turned heel. Like, I was worried he wouldn't do that, but he did. And he's doing it as good as he can. It's a performance for him, right? And again,
he's listening to the fans. And honestly, it was a great performance. I remembered. I'm like, oh yeah, The Rock is a pretty decent actor, because when he's like, when you said he's like, those are my ancestors, right? Like, you talk about his ancestors, they're mine. Like, that's like, I was like, oh yes,
this is very natural for him to be. Now, the only question marks I have is the actual wrestling, which I'm not sure matters so much at this point.
Well, and that's why I think you could protect The Rock better in a tag match than you could in a singles match.
He's up. He's 50 plus, right? He's 51. He's got to be smart about this, because he's probably going to tear something. He
looks great, but wrestling and weightlifting are 2 very different things.
Right. So we'll see what happens there, but they're finally going the right direction, and it's interesting to see. Now, Ray, my question to you is, I said it. I believe saving wrestling is the main thing here, main event here, if you will. Will we see other Attitude Era superstars return in this campaign? Will The Undertaker return? Will Austin show up? Or do you think they're going to keep this kind of focused on what the story is?
I think they're going to focus on what the story is. There were rumors about Stone Cold maybe being involved with this Mania, but I think those are pretty much dead now, because he did come back a couple of years ago. That I don't think they're going to use Stone Cold in any capacity, and I think The Undertaker is too busy holding soccer trophies in Saudi Arabia. I don't know if you all saw that. Now,
you should look that up. It's real.
Yes, it's real and funny. And watching Cristiano Ronaldo freak out, he's like, "It's The Undertaker," and Undertaker's holding the Saudi Arabia Cup trophy, and it was like, okay, that was random as hell. So
no, I mean, look, here's the deal. I would love to see Austin stun The Rock one more time.
Yeah. Just to see if The Rock could flip flop around the ring 6 times.
Yeah, and that's how he tore his leg. No, I'm just kidding. Anyway, look, great job, WWE and DJ. I'm going to say it one more time. Acknowledging that the fans aren't stupid is a great tactic, and I'm looking forward to see where it goes.
And even this, and for a lot of folks who are like, well, they changed the programming. It changes all the time with wrestling. Because here's the thing. When Rock came back on New Year's Day, I thought that they were going to start doing a Rock versus Roman thing then, which would have made sense. I know a lot of folks wanted to see Cody finish his story, but I think if they had started it then, people would have been more okay with it. Then they put Cody over at the Rumble, and it looks like, okay, no, they're doing the Cody story. Then The Rock comes back again, and then it's like, no, I want to face Roman. And it didn't work. People were revolted against it. And so, kind of like how they changed. And I said it last week, and I can't remember. I looked it up, and I was like, oh my God, this was WrestleMania 30. This was 10 years ago already. They wanted Batista to win the title one more time, and that's why he won the Rumble 10 years ago, when he came back from all his acting with Guardians and all the other stuff. The fans revolted. They hated it. Last minute, they changed it because they wanted Daniel Bryan, and they put it on Daniel Bryan, and that was the right move. I feel this is another time where they were going to do Rock versus Roman because, yes, it is an obvious box office, but the fans were so mad that they're like, you know what? The Rock will still be involved. We'll have him around, but we got to finish the story with Cody, especially after delaying it last year. If you're going to do this garbage, you should have done it last. You should have finished it last year.
Right. Here's the other cool thing is that we talked about this last week. How when The Rock showed up again, he didn't say anything, and I think that was purposely done. Yeah, he purposely didn't announce anything, and they were able to feel the fans out, which again is pretty brilliant. I'm going to guess they planned it that way, right? Just to see. Well, let's see what happens.
Yeah.
Right. Good on them for listening. Good on everybody for what they're doing. It's going the right direction. I'm looking forward to see what happens. And here's the thing: don't know what's going to happen, and that's the thing.
Yeah.
Right. That's where wrestling gets bad, when you can predict it.
Absolutely. And for the first time, it does feel fluid but fun.
Yeah.
So yeah, when it was getting predictable again, it was not fun.
Not fun.
You know what is also not fun? Getting fired. And
what?
Unfortunately,
Breaking news. Yeah.
So if you're not, I watch a lot of wrestling over the course of the week, and I've gotten back into TNA in recent years. And they've really kind of rebounded and really kind of built themselves up as a nice alternative promotion to AEW and to a WWE. I would still probably put them as like the third tier, but like there's still a very solid show, great wrestlers, a lot of good talent there. And it's also a great place for people to experiment. And one of the folks who, former wrestler Scott D'Amore, he was what TNA originally used to race from TNA way back in the day, was the president of the company and really was at the forefront of turning TNA as a brand around. And then he got fired this week for no apparent reason by Anthem Sports. People were flabbergasted. Tommy Dreamer was crying on his podcast, which I mean, nowadays Tommy Dreamer is always crying. But love Tommy Dreamer, ECW original legend. Obviously, I would never make fun of these guys. But no. Yeah, that's just yeah. It was a little bit making fun of him, but but his buddy got fired. And it feels like a weird decision that here's a guy who helped put your promotion back on the map, and now he got let go. And then it's a weird move. It's a weird move, Lee. What are your thoughts? Why do you think a wrestling promotion? Again, it's not like there's no controversy around Scott D'Amore like there's like a Vince McMahon or something.
Well, something happened. Like you don't just get fired. So something happened. It could have been creative differences. It could have been money. Could have been misunderstanding. I mean, there's a lot of different ways you can look at what happened, but it's tough when you don't know and people start to make assumptions. I mean, maybe there was a goal that they had given him that he didn't make. I don't know, Ray. Like they said, I'm just as quizzical about this. Or maybe, and I don't want to put anything out there, maybe there is something going on that we don't know about that's horrible. Again, I'm literally saying I don't know. I'm not trying to put any stigma on Scott here, but yeah, I don't know. I have no idea why that happened.
Yeah. Curious decision. I'm sure we'll learn more as
details will be released soon.
Yes. Well, especially because so for those who don't know, TNA records a whole full month, 4 weeks of shows at a time. It's what NXT also does for WWE down at the Performance Center.
Right.
So a lot of stuff is recorded. So the stuff that is airing right now in February, Scott it hasn't affected programming yet. Technically, Scott was still president during these tapings, so we might not really start to find out what happened until maybe March. So interesting to see what happens there. You mentioned money though, Lee, and speaking of money, whole lot of money got spent this week by Disney.
Go on, take the money and run.
Yes. I wish I could take this money. $1.5
billion. Not M. Billion with a B.
Billion, like the TV show Billions. $1.5 billion. For a huge stake in Epic Games, for Epic, the Unreal Engine, which is one of the cornerstone gaming engines in video games, and of course Fortnite. And it basically, Disney's done a lot of partnerships with Fortnite in the past. They'll have a lot of their characters in Fortnite, like a lot. And it sounds like they're going to be a lot more of those now in the future with this investment, and possibly even a brand new game similar to Fortnite, one of these persistent, ever-going universes. That's a lot of money, but it's also smart because Disney, everybody plays Fortnite, and it's an easy way to be sure that your brand is at the forefront of the next generation of kids that you want. You want kids to be Disney kids? You don't keep making animated movies as much as people love them. You get into video games.
I can affirm that, Ray, because my son tells me every time a Disney character arrives in Fortnite, especially if they're Star Wars people. But I remember when Indiana Jones was there, he told me about it. I mean, and look, I'll be honest with you. I play Fortnite with my kids sometimes. Yeah, I'd rather be Vader, you know what I mean, than the generic guy. So even our producer, Caitlin, plays Fortnite. So the ability to be some of these characters and others is amazing. Ray, my question to you is, do you think that Disney's going to make its own Disney version of this with all of the characters, Marvel, Star Wars, Disney, and kind of their own little kind of epic universe? Or do you think this is just going to play into Fortnite? Because I'll tell you right now, as a parent, I actually do think that there is room here for, I don't want to call it a G-rated Fortnite, because that Fortnite is basically G-rated, but an alternative of Fortnite where maybe it's not based on, matches, but something else.
I mean, I definitely think so. I mean, Disney with their was a Dreamlight Valley that
Yeah,
came
it
out this
just
year
came out. Yeah,
was kind of their answer to like Animal Crossing,
yeah,
and both games have thrived.
right.
Because the Disney IP is so special and so big, and
Powerful.
also by the way, you
Yeah,
mentioned Logan meant characters. It's a great way to get people to see it in a game
yeah.
and then go to
Well,
Disney Plus to watch it.
100% how it works.
Yeah,
By the way, well, tell me about this character. What movie do I have to watch? I mean, that's how that happens.
yeah.
So it's pretty brilliant. I just wonder if they're going to build their own Disney Open universe.
I wouldn't be surprised if it starts out with them doing stuff in Fortnite, and
Yeah,
then while they are building
yeah.
the
Well,
Disney Fortnite.
here's the deal. It's like they've gotten 5 years of detailed data now about their characters in the game, so they know it's
Yes.
there. And it's
Yeah.
like, because my attitude was like, well, what's the investment for? Because it's not just doing more Fortnite characters. Like
Right.
1.5 billion builds you a new universe. That's
Yeah.
why I'm looking at it like
And
that.
I
So
think
that's what I
that's
think's
what they're
happening.
going to do. I think they're
Yeah.
going to build a new universe.
In which I will
And
live.
then you could have original characters in that universe that then appear at the Disney parks,
Right.
or that you make movies of, or TV shows.
It's actually really brilliant. You bring up a great point, Ray, because like I said, you're going to start seeing these things around. Disney is always at the forefront of these events.
Yeah.
Not to mention, there could be cross the other way. Fortnite characters could end up in the Disney game. We saw the NFL did a
Yep.
partnership with Fortnite where you could be your favorite NFL player or team and put a number
Yep.
on them. My son actually made Jason Kelsey the other night and put him in the game, which was pretty funny.
That's amazing.
It is, but like that could go the other way too, right? Why would you not want to be Jason Kelsey in a Disney World, right? And think about the map. It could be Disneyland, Disney World.
Yes.
I mean, there's a lot of fun, or better, the map could be split up between the different places from all the Disney films. I mean,
like Kingdom Hearts or something.
Yeah. In fact, Epic got to be careful that you don't lose the Fortnite people. You know what I mean? But here's the thing. Like, I don't necessarily want. I'm okay with my son who's 10 now playing it. I don't know if I want him playing that when he's 5 or 6. So, look, I just think there's a lot of room to grow here. It might not even be going that direction, but I'm excited to see where it goes. Great move by Disney.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, it goes back to, this was a term that came about 15, 20 years ago around video games called transmedia.
Yeah.
Right. And it's the idea that it's not just about being a game or being a movie. It's about being an IP.
Right.
And then making all these things out of those IPs, comic books, all this stuff. So it's this was a big earth shattering, not earth shattering. It was pretty groundbreaking though, the move, and it's gonna be curious to see where it goes here. So and speaking of transmedia, and speaking of, again, these IPs going across mediums, Knuckles, Paramount Plus. Knuckles is getting his own 6-episode miniseries on Paramount Plus. So this is the year in movies and TV that we get Sonic 3 and Knuckles.
Brilliant.
Absolutely brilliant. It looks like a fun show, by the way. A lot of the characters from the movies are in the show, but it's centering around Knuckles. Idris Elba, of course, reprising the voice. This is a brilliant move that by Paramount Plus. And Paramount and Viacom and all of them, they just know what they're doing with this property. And thank goodness. To think how close we were to this being a one and done. And
it's amazing how close that was. I mean, it almost was just not one. It was almost not done.
Yeah.
But Ray, I'll tell you about the Knuckles thing. I'm looking for it. The trailer's hilarious. It's a movie you want to watch. The Sonic the Hedgehog films are great. It has been, I believe, rumored, if not confirmed, that Jim Carrey is returning for the 3rd film.
He has been confirmed to return for 3, and we mentioned it again. It's still just a rumor right now that Hayden Christensen will play the voice of Shadow,
which is awesome as well. And the thing is that Jim Carrey is basically retired from acting, so for him to do this, the script must not be horrible, or he just has the ability to want to do it.
And I think he also just has. I think he has a lot of fun as Robotnik.
He loves that character. You can tell. I mean, and look, it's a classic Carrey character that he can do without kind of like making too much of an a-hole of himself, I guess.
Right.
But what's cool about the Knuckles show, and again, I think this will be absolutely about Knuckles. I don't think it's going to be too much about Sonic. I don't think it's going to introduce Shadow at all. Right. Like if there's anything we found about miniseries on TV, it's the title of the show is what the show is about, unless it's Star Wars and you have to hide it.
Right.
Okay. But Knuckles had okay character development. But we didn't really jump into the echidnas and who they are and why they exist. And I think this is going to allow them to give Knuckles a lot more of a deep storyline, which will create more investment into Sonic, Tails, and Knuckles as we get into Shadow. And again, Shadow's a darker version of the Hedgehog. So it's going to be very interesting to see where this goes. But that trailer looked great. I'm looking forward to seeing it. Paramount Plus, they kind of started a little iffy. Like, I don't know if I want that, but the commercials are fantastic.
Yes.
I mean, you got to remember they have Star Trek.
Yep.
They have a lot of cartoons, and they have a lot of big properties that people love.
Yeah.
So they're doing a great job over there.
Yeah, Ninja Turtles. They got
Yeah.
they got a lot of stuff.
I have Paramount Plus. It's good. I enjoy it.
It is become a very, very solid streaming service. I just want to mention, and also Sega, smart on Sega for developing Sonic Generations 2, which is basically like the director's cut of the Sonic Adventure games that introduce Shadow. That will drop sometime in the window between Sonic, the Knuckles TV show, and the Sonic 3 movie to remind people this is how Sonic got introduced in the games.
Right.
So again, hitting them on multiple fronts, video games and TV and movies. Very smart by Sega and their licensing people.
By the way, Generations was a great game. Really fun
the first
game.
one was fantastic.
Like
Can't wait for 2. Can't wait for it.
Yeah, the time travel in it was really fun. So I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, to do that again here, I think is very, very smart. But there's one service. Paramount Plus is a great streaming service. You know what's not a great streaming service?
Tell them, Ray.
HBO Max. Freaking Warner Brothers. Again! Zaslav! Jump in front of the bus, please! I hate what Warner Brothers is doing. They are ruining everything. Methodically, it feels like they are ruining everything.
They are the real villains
Yes.
of the comic geek universe.
Yeah. Coyote versus Acme. It sounds like it's going to be canceled and shelved again. This movie that, again, people are crying for it to be released. Basically, Netflix, Apple, Amazon, a couple others went to Warner Brothers. Once Warner Brothers says we will sell this to someone else, Warner Brothers wanted $75 million for it. All the companies were like, can we negotiate? And Warner Brothers was like, no. And they took it back. And they're like, well, guess we're going to get that tax write-off after all. Thinking that the internet was just going to not notice and go away. And again, everybody is like, I love one person suggesting saying that if they get this tax write-off, then the movie should become public domain and should just be released somehow because our tax dollars are now paying for this film. Because that is how ridiculous it is. David Zaslav, I talk with a lot of my actor friends out here in Hollywood. It's not just me. Hollywood hates David Zaslav now. You are a despicable, greed-driven sack of crap. And if you do not release this movie somehow, we will march down to Burbank and we will tear down the water tower and we will knock over the Batman statues because we're tired of this garbage with these beloved characters and you just crapping all over them, Zaslav. This is a joke. Lee, your thoughts?
Well, in the midst of your very well put argument there, I just started thinking about, I love living in America where this is one of our biggest problems. I think that's a great statement to make at the moment. Yeah, it's amazing, Ray, that the Giants are not the cause of your Ray rant this week. It's Warner Brothers. But Ray, I'm kind of there with you.
We got time. The season, we're just getting into the off season. We got time.
Yeah, I'm tired of this too. Like I understand the business side of it, but it's like you're losing faith with the fans, man. Like you got to give this up, right? Like there's too much value in Warner Brothers for you to be screwing this up. I wish you would just sell to Disney or Apple at this point and let someone who cares about this go over. It's just not a good.
Or even Paramount. There were rumors that Paramount,
Paramount could do it. Like look. Paramount does not get enough credit for what they did with Star Trek. I mean, humongous universe, right?
A lot of folks like to knock them for the Halo stuff, and I'm not going to lie, it wasn't great. But like, again, you mentioned Star Trek, Ninja Turtles, obviously the CBS connection with CBS Sports, now Knuckles, like, great graphic, by the way, producer Caitlin.
Yeah, she put up Warner Brothers equals evil. The shame of it, too, for Ray and I is we grew up loving Warner Brothers. A lot of our characters, obviously, you said favorite characters came out of there. But beyond that, too, I mean, Ray, when you knock over the water tower, I hope you at least get the Animaniacs out of there before you
I will absolutely release the Animaniacs upon the world.
Yeah, and tell them what's going on.
Yes, I will make sure that's our trump card. The people's trump card is actually going to be the Animaniacs. We are going to, that's it. No more bus for Zaslav. I'm just going to send the Animaniacs after you, which may be a far worse fate.
We're getting into Roger Rabbit territory, I think, with that.
Yeah.
With all that stuff. But yeah, like it's upsetting to see. Like Ray, you said it right. These are beloved characters. Just like a beloved sports team. It's like it's so painful to watch someone who is doing this, and I'm sure they have their reasons and their justification, but nobody realizes they're evil. Every villain thinks they're the hero, right? Except for the Joker. Every villain thinks that they're the hero,
Yeah.
right? And so maybe he thinks like, I'm trying to save this company. I'm trying, but you're not. And the thing is,
No.
these executives they're so far up their own asses that they can't see this stuff.
Yeah.
Right. Because I'm sure he loves these characters too. I mean that. Yeah. Right. But it's horrible and stupid, and money ruins everything. And I really hope we get to see this movie at some point. The problem is also for the movie now, it's going to get such hype that I hope
it's going to be hard to live up to.
Yeah. I hope it can live up to it, but we'll see what happens. WB once again ruining the day.
WB.
Ray's coming on the bus.
Well, folks, that will do it for us again here at Geeks Who Like Sports.
We really 90 minutes. We're pretty good at this 90-minute thing. We're right on it. Let us know if you like that. Make sure you shoot us an email. Lee at geekswhoLikeSports.com. Ray at geekswhoLikeSports.com. Write a comment. DM.
We're starting to get more support again on YouTube. We got some new subs. Shout outs to folks over there.
No, we are. We're getting a lot of views on YouTube, actually, Ray. It's doing really well.
Yeah, we really appreciate that, supporting us across the platforms. It means a lot. But yeah, Lee, show our non-sponsor again.
Oh, one more time. Lacoste Coffee on my shirt in the K-Cups. Jersey Diner, Lacoste Coffee Company. Please join us.
Yes. I could always use another cup of coffee. But yes, for Lee, I'm Ray.
I'm Ray. Wait, no, you're Ray.
I'm Ray.
For Ray, I'm Lee.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Ray.
For Lee, I'm Ray. Thank you all for tuning in. We really appreciate whether again listening or watching.
Check out the mashup coming out this week. We're doing a great one. Which geek character would make the best Super Bowl commercial? Check that out. Ray, I will throw it back to you to officially close.
A lot of fun. But yes, until next time, this has been Geeks Who Like Sports. Good night, everybody.